Wow, that was fun.
Nope.
Okay.
Start again.
It was fun.
Wow, that was fun. Nothing like a glorified game of two-hand touch in front of 40-some thousand people at Ohio Stadium.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ralph Schudel, once again alongside Andy Evans. Ohio State victorious today in the spring game.
Yes.
Lots of...
Your pregame prediction came true, Ralph. The Buckeyes won. Good job.
Yeah, lots of things
Good
to be
job.
excited about. Saw all three quarterbacks. We saw Joe Burrow, Tate Martell, Dwayne Haskins out on the field today. Andy, initially, who impressed?
Yeah, you just kind of brought it up. A little disappointed to see a two-hand game of tag. Basically, the first three quarters, Urban did come out afterwards and say that he would understand if the fans were a little upset because of the fact that basically they came to watch a game of two-hand tag. However, he said that right now they cannot take any sort of possibilities of guys getting hurt for a glorified practice. He didn't say that. I just did, of course. But nonetheless, still a lot of fun to watch. I thought Dwayne Haskins looked great. Came out through some crisp passes. Benjamin Victor saw a lot of time on the field today, too. Was impressed with my boy DeMario McCall. 2 touchdown grabs in the game today, including that 42-yarder at the end from Joe Burrow. He also caught one over the middle and just basically a little pitch and catch deal for 50 yards. A lot of speed. Very impressed with DeMario McCall. Right now, though, Urban did say he had no idea who the leader at the quarterback position is, and quite frankly, I can see what he's saying because I thought both Burrow and Haskins played pretty well today.
If you had to make a decision right now, who would it be?
I think Haskins is your incumbent right now, just because of the fact of what we saw him do at the end of last year. However, once again, I wouldn't doubt if Joe Burrow really does make a solid push, which I think he's doing right now. But if I had to say one or the other, I think Haskins is the guy going into the fold.
See, I would argue because I felt like Joe Burrow was kind of pedestrian today.
Really?
I thought he was, not terribly crisp. There's a lot of potential there, and I think he's still working to get back in the swing of things and how things are going here in Buckeye camp. I like Tate Martell. I mean, he's an interesting character. I see a lot of Johnny Manziel, a la maybe Baker Mayfield, which I know is a lot of, looking out on the field right now, that probably stings to hear a lot of Buckeye fans, have them hear me say that. But, I think Tate Martell's a little bit exciting, very expressive on the ball, makes a lot of interesting reads, and not really shy to take off and run, which is something we haven't really seen since the days of Terrell Pryor. And, circling back to your first comment there about the two-hand tag, when you had a player like Braxton Miller go down in preseason camp a couple years ago, you can understand Urban's apprehension to get anybody injured.
Absolutely no, and I'm not saying that, I want to see these guys just absolutely smashing each other's brains
I do.
in a glorified practice. Well, you're a brute and a barbarian. I, however, am not. But, no, seriously, I get it. I do. I understand. Two-hand tag, yeah, it's not fun to watch, but you do not want any of these guys risk getting injured before they have a possible, a lot of people are saying they're going to contend for the national title this year, or at least a spot in the playoffs. And, of course, at Ohio State pretty much every year, that's our expectation. So you definitely don't want these guys getting hurt. Tate Martell. I love his athleticism. I love his speed. He does have the ability to run the football, and he'll take off and he'll scoot with it at in the snap of a finger. However, I do not like him in the pocket trying to throw the football. Right now, that is one aspect of his game he needs a lot of improvement on, because there were times he had time to sit there and throw the football in the pocket, and instead he couldn't find an open receiver. He took off with the football. I don't want to see my quarterback running around too much. I don't mind some scrambling ability, a la Troy Smith and Terrell Pryor. However, if you're going to sit back there and be a quarterback, I want to see you throw the football a little bit.
Let's talk about a player that neither Andy nor myself had on the radar, and that was Master Teague.
Yeah.
The young player, the young man, I believe a freshman, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, early enrollee.
Came in, had about 73 yards on the spring game.
Yep.
Had a lot of people very interested in who this young player is.
Yep.
And I know we talked about at the start of the game, we had Mike Weber, we had J.K. Dobbins, Antonio Williams. Master Teague's not a bad option to have either.
Let me tell you what, if they don't redshirt this kid this year, Master Teague can see the football field. I mean, he looked good today. And once again, an early enrollee, true freshman here. In fact, one of the 10 early enrollees that came in here this preseason. Master Teague, he could be a guy who could battle for at least maybe a little bit of playing time. And of course, being an early enrollee, he's got a leg up on some of the other true freshmen coming in. Antonio Williams, you had talked about him earlier. He's really made a name for himself too this spring. The coaches were really impressed, and he looked like, with good reason, because he looked like he's been doing pretty good and had a good spring game today.
Let's shift over to the offensive line. Andy, you talked to Urban Meyer today, and did he really establish any type of definitive answer for that center position to take over for Billy Price?
He did. He said Brady Taylor right now is the man who is going to start at center unless somebody else does something, over the top, unbelievable. Brady Taylor is going to be the man under center this season.
Very good. And how about the linebacker position? Was there anybody established there?
He did not go into specifics, but he did mention the fact that, Tuck Borland being out with the injury. The two guys that really impressed him were Justin Hilliard and Baron Browning, two guys that we talked about, in the pregame. So it looks like right now it's probably going to be Dante Booker and Malik Harrison on the outsides, with Baron Browning and Justin Hilliard fighting it out for that middle linebacker spot.
Yeah, and that was one that I really liked. I like seeing Baron Browning running around on the field.
Yeah.
Looked like he had great sideline-to-sideline quickness.
Yep.
Could read a play pretty decently, too. Granted, it is still practice. This isn't live competition necessarily, but very exciting stuff here from the Buckeyes.
Yeah.
Andy, any final thoughts at all or anything from the 2018 edition of the spring game?
Once again, it's nice to get out here. It's nice to see the fans. We probably got about, maybe 40-some thousand or so.
48,000, I believe, was the
48,000 was the actual attendance. Of course, it did sell out. A lot of people were afraid of the rain and whatnot, which ended up holding off right to the end of the game. I mean, literally, it didn't start until about a couple of minutes after the final.
6 seconds until the final.
I mean, literally, it was almost.
There's a meteorologist making a lot of money on that prediction.
Probably. But it was really cool to get out here. Like I said before the game, one of the things I enjoy are those second and third stringers that you don't get to see very often, if at all, during the regular season. So it was really cool. Master Teague being one of them. True freshmen, other guys that you're hoping might make an impact and see their way onto the field. Some redshirt freshmen and some sophomores. So it was cool to get out here, experience the sights and sounds of the Horseshoe, and I'd say it was a pretty successful 2018 spring game.
Yeah, really enjoyed it too. The fans were out there, kind of looking for a little bit more of excitement. I think they would have liked to seen more of a back and forth game. Obviously, a little bit more hating too, and more aggression, I suppose. But I'm excited for the season. It looks like there's a lot of questions that still need to be answered.
Yeah.
But it appears that Urban's got the right idea of what's going on. He's got some sort of game plan. It is just looking. He's got option A, option B, and option C, and just evaluating which one's going to get him across the finish line to that first win on September 1st. That's all our time for today, guys. We're going to close out the 2018 Life Sports Spring Sports Spectacular. I wanted another S word there. But
spectacular
live from Ohio Stadium, I'm Ralph Schudel. It's Andy Evans, Sam Fahmy on the ones and twos. We'll see you for kickoff.